Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is actually the second time I'm recording this because I did the whole thing, uploaded it to the computer, and started to load it to edit, and there was zero sound because the battery in the mic were dead. So, here we go again. Welcome to the channel. My name is Todd, and today we're going to be discussing what's in here. This is a brand new SIG SAUER P320RX. And you can tell it's in the bag. Take the protective cap off. As always, there's nothing in there, but for the video it's going to be like this while we talk about it. So this gun right here was brand new on a shelf, and I called my neighbor and I told him that we had this in stock, and he ended up coming down and trading in his 229 Legion for this because this is what he's always wanted. So he's had it for 2 weeks, and well, his life is really hectic with working double shifts all the time and working weekends, and of course planning his wedding, which is coming up later this week. So he came to me and asked me if I would zero this for him because the sight had to be zeroed, and I said sure, as long as I get to do a video on it, and he agreed graciously. So, as you see it, is exactly how you're going to get it out of the box. It's already going to have the Romeo sight installed and torqued down. Battery button or battery window right here. I wasn't sure if it was torqued. I had loosened it just to make sure there was no plastic in there. Put it back on and torqued it back down because according to the manual, this needs to be torqued 10 to 12 foot-pounds every 500 rounds or so, just because it will work its way loose. And not to over-torque it, because if the battery dies, you'll need to be able to break the torque and obviously get it out. So, let's talk about this real quick. So, this is 9mm. All the 320s come in 9mm. It's a little bit smaller than the 226. It's still rather large. It is okay to carry if you're able to put it in different spots on your body where it's easier to conceal. The nice part is, for target acquisition, it's got the red dot, the Romeo Pro, or the Romeo 1 red dot. Now, some of the red dots, you have to literally turn them on. With this one, you can't be like, hey, bad guy, wait, turn it on, and then engage. But what you can do is, by holding those two buttons down, right here, you hold them both down while it is illuminated, and you will see the red dot flash, and that puts the Romeo on motion activation. So while it's just laying around, after 2 minutes, it shuts off to conserve the battery, but as soon as you pick it up and you start moving it around, the red dot will automatically turn itself back on, which is good. So when you draw it out of your holster to engage, the red dot is going to be already on when you need it. Since we're in Connecticut, it comes standard with 2 10-round mags, and you can carry one in the chamber in Connecticut, so it is a 10+1. The other makes and models for other states, the other 320s, are going to come with a standard of 2 17-round mags, because this is a double stack. So we're missing out on 7 rounds. So instead of being a 17 plus 1, it is a 10 plus 1. Get a little laws. But I digress. So normal 320, they're going to pop the mag out for this. We're just going to talk about some of the features. So the slide on this is stainless steel. The whole thing is coated black. The lower part of the pistol is polymer, which reduces its weight. So unlike my 226 Legion, which is incredibly heavy, this is actually incredibly light in comparison. The breakdown and everything is all the same. The trigger, however, that in itself is nice. So a standard 320 without the Romeo, the non-RX version, which I've seen online, said it had a 7-pound pull. So I tested the pull on this. I did it about 10 times, and then I averaged it out with our digital trigger gauge, and this trigger came out to 3.11 standard pull. Just putting in there and pulling it straight back. So it's an incredibly light trigger, easy to pull, and I would highly recommend it. Good job, SIG, on a nice trigger. So while we're talking about the trigger, I want to show you exactly how the trigger functions with the trigger reset. So I'm going to have to do it this way. So obviously you put your finger in, you start to pull. Ooh, nice clean break. You rack it. Right there's a reset. It's a real good feel. Positive. And then it just breaks. So when you're doing rapid fire, getting right back onto the wall is not a problem. In fact, it feels almost intuitive because as soon as you let up on that trigger, it clicks right to the wall. And if you practice enough, obviously you're going to know where it is, and you're going to put your finger straight to the wall and get ready for that next shot. So as the gun is cycling, you can move your finger into position for the wall and get your second round down, or your third round, or your fourth, or whatever you're doing. So one of the few drawbacks about having this type of sight on, this red dot, is if you're like me and you want to grab it to rack it, obviously you might come in contact with the lens or the glass. So it helps if you hook your finger a little bit to avoid the glass and try and get it on either side of the housing so you can rack it back and not touch the glass. But if you were to touch glass, it's not a big deal. You're still going to be able to see through it, just not as clearly. You're still going to be able to put the red dot on whatever you need to do and take care of business. But if you are a clean freak, it does come with a little microfiber cloth for cleaning said Romeo sight. Along with the red dot, you have your standby, or your backup, I should say, iron sights, which are, it's kind of hard to see, but it is tritium, so they are night sights. So in low light, no light situations, they do illuminate. If for some reason your Romeo Pro were to have a dead battery, you at least have the backup irons that are illuminated. Can't go wrong with that. When zeroing this, it zeroes just like any standard red dot or scope. It's got your elevation on top and your windage on the side. Now, when I zeroed this one, excuse me, it's not COVID. When I zeroed this one, the elevation on it was dead on. Didn't have to adjust it. Windage, however, was way off. So every, I call it a click, but this doesn't click, it's just a smooth turn. I do wish it would give me a good solid click, but every click on this is 1 MOA. So it only took me maybe 15 rounds to get this zeroed, and I was happy with it. Of course, when I give it back to the owner and he shoots it, he potentially is going to have to make some final adjustments to it for him, because right now it's zeroed for me. So at least it'll be pretty darn close. So along with obviously having the Romeo Pro and the tritium night sights, you do have an accessory rail on the bottom here for attaching flashlights, or if you're into it, a laser, which I always recommend not doing a laser, but having a flashlight. You don't have to have it on here all the time. Like, I carry mine in my pocket, so when I hit those low light, no light situations, I can pull it out of my pocket, click it on, and go about my day, or go about my night, doing what I need to do. And I don't need to get some crazy holster that is made for holding a light, just because most of your holsters are going to be from like Safariland, and trying to navigate their website is an absolute nightmare. And then you got to hope and pray that they do make some sort of holster that'll take your flashlight, especially if you have one that they might not have in their list. So when I zeroed this, I set the target to 10 yards just because, let's face it, doing a 25-yard zero or doing like a 5-yard zero, I mean, this is not a rifle, this is a pistol. You're not going to be engaging a threat at 25 yards, because if it's at 25 yards and you're having to pull a pistol, technically it's not really a threat. You can get away from that. And I'm talking about like someone pulls a knife or what have you. But weird things do happen. So, went in between. I did 10 yards. Mainly this is for home defense. That's what my neighbor had said. So, there's nowhere in his house that's 25 yards from one end to the next for a clear shot. 10 yard, a little more believable. So, I zeroed it for 10 yards, no problem. But then I wanted to try and explain that there might be a little offset, excuse me, to them. And I figured I'd run targets at 5 yards and then again at 25 yards. So here's the target from the 5 yards. As you can see, I was able to put all the rounds pretty much where I wanted them. I was aiming up here, and all the rounds went right there. So, not bad. Point of aim, point of impact at 5 yards. Now, when I reset the target for 25 yards, it's not the prettiest target. My left shoulder is killing me. I am due to go in tomorrow for cortisone injections. So, in order for me to get more accurate when I shoot at distance with a pistol, as I draw out, I tend to kick my left elbow out further and lock up the shoulder. The problem is it was really hurting the shoulder. So, I know it's an excuse, but go with it. Okay, so as you can see by the video that we had just done, the first few hits are right down here. They're pretty good. I was aiming down here, they hit down here, and then I don't know what happened. I just kind of jerked the trigger. My shoulder was really on fire, and everything went over here. Now, at 25 yards, this silhouette, you're still hitting the person. But if you're going for a super accurate shot, like I said, not my day. I really pulled them, and it looks bad, and I'm embarrassed. But I freely admit I am not a competition pistol shooter. I am more of a rifle carbine shooter. Always have been. So, pistols to me are backups and used in one, when you have some sort of catastrophic failure in your main defense weapon, or you run it dry and you have to transition as fast as you can, obviously, for the backup and engage, and your threats are at that point probably pretty close. Because if they're far away and you do have some sort of concealment or cover, then by all means deal with your jam or your out of ammunition in the mag, or whatever you have to do, because you have that distance, so they're not an immediate threat. Versus something goes wrong with your carbine and they're 5 yards in front of you, get it out of the way, pull your sidearm as a backup, gauge, and then do threat assessment and figure out what went wrong with the carbine, or for people that don't live in New England, your AR. So overall, the 320 was an actual gem to shoot, and now I just have to figure out how I convince my wife to let me get one. If anyone has any good ideas, put it in the comments below. But that's all I got for you. So, you know what? I will see you guys on the trail. Stay safe in the fray.